Let's go, baby. We are so close. We are so close to Colorado football.
Right there, man. We need a wake up. That's what they say in the military, just a wake up away. We wake up tomorrow, it's game time.
Welcome into the show, tight ends coach Tim Brewster.
The legend.
Guys, I'm thrilled. I'm lit. I'm fired up for Buff football, man. It can't come soon enough tomorrow, 11 a.m. I'm not going to sleep a wink tonight, probably. I mean, I'm going to get up about 4 and run. And guys, this is what it's all about. The time is now.
Coach, you always bring it when you speak to the team for the team dinner. And tonight's message was through the roof. Y'all probably heard it out here. It got loud.
We heard some yelling.
What goes through your mind when you're planning on what you're going to tell the team?
Neely, I just think about it, as you well know. You were with me last year at Jackson State. And so, I give it some thought, but it comes from my heart. It comes from, it's very, real. Most times it's raw.
Yeah, it's raw.
Very real, very raw. But I want these guys to know that I'm in it with them.
Yeah.
We're shoulder to shoulder, right,
yes,
at Colorado. Sir. And I just want them guys to know I want to inspire my men. I want to inspire them, and Prime he does an amazing job with inspiration. And I think it's our job. It's my responsibility also to help him inspire our football team to do some things that maybe they don't think is possible. I can take players at the tight end position to places that they can't go by themselves. Yeah. Okay? That's what it's all about to me, man. And, God, I love what I do.
Coach, a couple things you touched on there. You guys go to the pregame show after the show, and you will see his speech.
Yeah.
But Coach, you talk to the team about them inspiring Coach tomorrow because he's inspired us. His surgeries, and he's planning on running out with the team tomorrow.
Right.
I looked at you. I looked at Coach Prime back and forth, and
oh yeah,
he's feeling it.
There ain't no doubt. There ain't no, and I also mentioned, it's Resurrection Saturday. It's a day in which the University of Colorado Buffs, going to rise. Been down for a long time. It's time for the Buffs to be great again, and what Coach Prime has gone through, like I said, the inspiration, you think about 20 surgeries and maybe almost lost his life, and he wants to lead our football team to the boundary at the beginning of that game, okay? Yeah. And what we need to do is we need to honor him. He's going to be out front, okay? And ain't nobody going to run in front of him. Okay, and we're going to inspire him. It's been his goal for the past 6 months, okay, to lead the team onto the field at TCU. And I promise you this much, he's going to do it. Okay, he's going to do it. And we're going to be shoulder to shoulder with him, okay? I wanted the players to, hey, we got this game, okay? We got this game. Let's inspire the head coach to do, to conquer his challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coach, I feel like I love my job a lot, and I don't know if I love my job as much as you love your job. What is it that makes you love this game so much?
I just truly believe this. The game of football has been so good to me and my family. This is my 37th year, okay? This is my 37th first game, and I'm as jacked, I'm as excited as the first one, and I just, if you love football, football's going to love you back.
Amen.
Okay? It's going to love you back in every way. And I just, there's so many great things that you learn from the game. And, I love the interaction with the young guys and helping mentor young people. That's the part of it. I was in the NFL for 5 years, and I was 2 years with Mike Shanahan with the Denver Broncos. But I feel like I'm a much better fit for these younger kids who need my guidance, who need my experience, my direction. And I really relish that. My wife and I really try to provide a family type of deal for our players, that a home away from home. When I look at a parent in the eye and I say, if you entrust me with your son, you're going to sleep well at night, okay? Because I'm going to have his back. I'm going to walk with him every step of the process. And I just, I love competing, guys. It's about competing against the best, and guys, it's something that I'm gonna keep doing. I'm gonna ride it until the freaking wheels come off, man. I'm gonna be on the rims.
Coach, you obviously bring the fire, bring the energy. You're always on like 11. You're past 10. What is game day Coach Brew like, though?
See, you'll be surprised. Game day Coach Brew is much more calm, relaxed, okay? I tell my guys, if I got to yell at you on game day, I didn't do my job during the week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I got to do my job so that the preparation is so complete. We do things right so many times, we can't do them wrong. That's how you play well under pressure. The pressure of the game. If your preparation is exact, if in practice you take the proper first step every single time, it's going to play out in the game. And so I'm really relaxed on game day because I know we're in a good place. I know the tight ends tomorrow are going to play extremely well, fast and physical, and do the things that we need to do to be an asset to our football team to help us win.
Coach, let's talk about that for a second, the tight ends. You know what it's supposed to look like.
Right.
You got a future Hall of Famer that's going to have you sit in front row when he goes in.
Right.
You got Kyle Pitts that you molded. When you take your experience and you inherited this tight end room, what was it like getting those guys ready for tomorrow?
Right. Well, let's take Mike Harrison. Mike is a kid who was a wide receiver at Colorado.
That's not Mikey now. No Mikey.
Yeah.
No, I got the message.
I got it. Mike or Michael. And but he's a very talented young guy. Mm-hmm. Great, ball skills, pass receiving ability. What I've done is impose my mindset, my element of toughness, okay, in the Mike, and where he's a very competitive run. He's never going to be a Daniel Graham. Okay. Mm-hmm. He's not going to freaking blow people up in the run game, but he's going to be very fundamentally sound, very competitive. He will use his face mask as a weapon. He knows how to do those things. I've imparted that wisdom with him, and I'm going to tell you what, I'm really excited to see him play tomorrow. I think he's going to surprise a whole lot of people who maybe thought that we were short in the tight end room. Mm-hmm. And really, to be honest with you, when I get Caleb Fourier back next week, we're going to be 3 deep. We're going to be strong. Eli Yelverton, tough, hard-nosed, physical guy from Iowa, has really elevated his athleticism, really had a strong camp. I feel really, really good about the room, and I think that, again, we're gonna surprise some people with the things that we do on game day.
With a player like Michael, obviously coming from wide receiver to tight end, one, have you done that before with a player, kind of converted them, and what's the biggest challenge trying to get that done?
So, what I love at the tight end position is a receiver-trained tight end. A tight end who was a receiver, okay? Mm-hmm. He's got natural ball skills, natural receiving ability, okay? If you have that, then again, my mindset of hey, toughness, okay? Competing at the line of scrimmage, okay? I got, if you're soft, we're not going to get along, okay? We will not, there ain't going to be no jive there, man.
Not at all.
And so that's really been my deal. I think I really helped Kyle Pitts become more competitive on the line of scrimmage. Made him, what I want, guys, is a true 3-down tight end. Yeah. A guy that can play on first, second, and third downs. We don't have situational guys. I'm looking to build a guy who can do it all. And, Kyle Pitts goes, and he's the 4th pick in the draft, the highest drafted player at tight end position in the history of the NFL draft. I had Antonio Gates. Antonio Gates didn't play college football. I found him on a basketball court in Kent, Ohio. Okay, and I pulled off the heist of the century. I gave him $3,500.
Oh my God!
$3,500 to come with me to the San Diego Chargers, and as Neely said, we'll have an amazing moment next August when we go to Canton.
I think just about anyone would accept $3,500 to go from Kent, Ohio to San Diego, California.
There you go. But you know what the crazy thing about it was? So we're in training camp, and, he's just learning. He's just growing. I'm just, I'm just coaching the living bejesus out of them, and there was some scouts that wanted to cut him.
Yeah.
And I stood up in the room and I used an expletive. Yeah. and I said, fire me first. This guy right here is going to be a very special player.
That's amazing.
But in the NFL, and to some respects in college, time is your enemy. Mm-hmm. You got to get it done today. Yeah. You got to get better today and show results today, and that's what I'm all about. I'm all about results, man.
So what do the next 12 or so hours look like for you? You've done this a long time. What is your pre-game routine?
Right. So, Hayes in the barn, okay. I'm going to have a really good conversation with my wife here in a little while, talk to her. She is going to be waiting on me in Boulder, Ohio, a month. She's been at our house in Charlotte, North Carolina, and so I'm really looking forward to having her back with me. But I'm going to get a little sleep. But I don't sleep a whole lot, guys. I'll sleep. I run every morning between 4 or 4:30, somewhere around there, and I just wake up feeling so blessed, to put my feet on the ground. And this is you call this a job? I mean, this is nothing but pure love, I mean, my dad had a job. My dad worked, hard, tough jobs. Didn't wake up one day of his life and say, dang, I can't wait to go to work.
Yeah.
I do that every day.
Coach, we know you gotta get to it, man. Get the missus on the phone, but I got one final thing for you. It's the end of the game tomorrow.
Right.
The nation has watched.
Right.
Give me a couple words as to what the nation would have witnessed from Colorado football.
Well, I just think that there's so many different opinions out there of Colorado football under the direction of Coach Prime, and what is it going to be? I think Urban Meyer saw up close and personal that, hey, you know what? When he came out and spent a couple of days with us, this is a good collection of talent. Yeah. And we've got an amazing coaching staff, Neely, as you know.
Oh, my God.
Veteran, experienced guys, that are going to impart wisdom, true wisdom on these players. And so I just think that, I like that saying, Neely, at the end of the game, we pulled off something very, very special. You look up and you just say, how you like me now?
Let's go, man.
Let's go.
Tim
Mike,
Brewster, we appreciate you,
Mike,
Coach.
Drop it, Coach. Thank you.
Good
Appreciate
stuff,
you,
man.
Coach.
Guys.
Yes, sir. Tim Brewster, man. Tight ends coach.
Appreciate it, Coach. Good luck.
My brother.
There he is. Could you imagine a more perfect guest for the final show
my God.
before the first game of the season than Tim Brewster to get everyone a little fired up?
Amazing,
here we are, live Fort Worth from the team hotel. I'm sure they can hear the chat in the background. Team is right behind us, and we kick it off with Tim Brewster.
Can't get better than that.
No,
or
you
can
can't.
it?
It will. It will. But what a hell of a way to start it.
Only on the DNVR pregame show.
Man, absolutely, man. You take the pregame show, you take DNVR Buffs Lives, they get married and have a baby, you get that kick-ass logo down the corner, man.
Yes, sir.
I keep referring to the logo.
You
I love
already
it, man.
used that analogy, brother.
But I love it, man. It's like, look at it. Like,
It
you can
does.
just stare at it all day long.
It's got teeth. You know what I
does
mean?
have
Like
teeth.
that thing doesn't play.
Teeth. It
that
does
thing
have
doesn't
teeth.
play.
All right, we got a lull right now. Let's play some bills, I guess.
Yeah, do your thing, Morgan Freeman.
Pay some bills. I had no idea what you were talking about. You said play some bills, I thought.
Pay some bills. Sorry. I cannot win with my words today,
No.
obviously.
Hey, while you pay some bills, you want me to go find another guest?
Yes, go ahead.
Go for
All
it,
right,
brother.
All
This
right,
is-
I'm going to do that.
We, just do what you got to do. What you got to do.
Yeah, do your thing.
We don't have to worry about
I
it.
wanna do
Making
my
it look
thing
pretty.
live, but I'll go find us another guest.
All right, let's do it.
Shout out to Fubo TV. You get 140 plus live channels of sports shows, movies, and news. Perfect timing, man. College football's back. I had the double screen going last night with Nebraska with that beautiful football game. Utah.
Thank you, Golden Gophers. Honestly, thank you, Nebraska. That was their doing.
Yeah, of course it was,
that was
bro.
their doing.
Yeah, college football's back. Check out Fubo TV. You can stream live from any device. No cable, no contract, no hassle. You also get 1,000 hours of cloud DVR. You also get the Pac-12 network, so you can watch all those games. Watch all your favorite college football and the NFL Fubo. Go to www.fubotv.com/DNVR to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. Also,
Uh-oh.
Shout out to our friends over at Splash Sports.
Nice.
We have partnered with them for a weekly pick contest for everyone to enter and participate to win real money. Head on over to splashsports.com/DNVR. The link is in the description. Deposit some cash and you can enter DNVR's weekly NFL pick contest for just $20. First place prize, $7,500. Second place, just over $2K. And third place, just over $1,000. We're going to be running contests all year. So again, head on over to splashsports.com/DNVR to join in. We'll have different contests coming out. And we are stoked to compete with and against you all. Be sure to, again, check the link in the description.
Jake,
What's up, brother?
that was fucking awesome.
Thanks, man.
Oh, not you. I was talking about
okay.
Coach Brew.
Well, Coach Brew was incredible, too. I'm used to Neely always giving me props on my ad reads.
That is true. They were good ad
Thank
reads.
you.
They
I
were good
appreciate
ad
it.
reads. I would just say, like, it's not the reason why I'm buzzing right now. That was Coach Brew's doing.
There's many reasons we're buzzing right now. Can we take this opportunity to talk about last night's football game and what we saw there real quick?
First, I want to talk about Coach Brew and just the energy that he brings. And I just have to say, like, if you just heard from that guy in that room, we saw him at like a 4.
Yeah.
If he turned up to 9 or 10 or 11 in there, how do you go to sleep tonight?
I have no idea.
I don't think I'm going to be able to go to sleep after hanging out with him for a few minutes.
Every time I hear that dude talk, I just think how cool it would be to play for him.
Yep.
I mean, how did you not get hyped with that? He's always going to, be there to support you, and just every team needs that guy who brings the extra fire, beyond the head coach, and he can do just that.
By the way, oh shoot, I lost my train of thought. But we got another guest coming on here.
coming on.
Oh, for the chat, was it worth the wait?
It was. I think so.
I think they think it was worth the wait as we got him on here.
916 of them. Coach Flea joining the show right
Yes,
now.
sir.
Here. There we go.
We got assistant head coach, running back coach, Coach Gary Harrell, a.k.a. Coach Flea.
Yes.
How we
you
doing,
doing,
Coach?
brother?
Doing outstanding. Thank you guys for having me.
Good to have you, Coach.
Good to have you, brother. Good to have you.
You did that. Or go ahead.
No, I was going to hop right into it, man. Let's talk running backs.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
I was going to do the same.
Because you have a healthy room.
I do.
You got some guys to choose from, some guys that can do it. And everybody wants to know who's starting. I'm like, don't worry about who's starting.
Well, we got a healthy room, mentally and physically. Those guys do a great job as far as coming every day and practice being who they are. It's a pleasure to coach them because they're very coachable. They support each other, and they all add different elements to the game when it comes to running the football. As far as who's starting, we have multiple guys that can start. With Coach Prime, Coach Prime, he feels it, and I think, the things that he want to get accomplished. Hank L was a guy that we feel like is solid, had a great camp. He deserved to be a starter. But we have a guy named Dylan Edwards also. He's young, high school kid, very explosive. So between those two will be the guys that we choose.
Yeah.
We got Savion Wilkerson, another guy that can come in and add something to the piece. And then we got Kavasi Smoke. So those are the top 4 right now going into this game.
That's a hell of a 4, Coach.
It's a great 4. So that's why I'm so relaxed.
He does feel very relaxed.
They make my job easy, man. They do a good job as far as studying the game and coming in, being prepared. This game is very brutal. They took care of their bodies through camp, and like I said, they were healthy. It's just unfortunate that Alton McCaskill is not healthy right now. We'll love to see what he can do to be another guy that we can add to the mix.
Yeah.
But don't forget about the wild card, Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie's the guy that we would love to get into the game and show what he can do, live on TV.
Well, I tell you this, man, speaking of Charlie, and I know the guys got some questions more about your room, but the impact he's been making on special teams.
Yes.
You give Charlie Offerdahl a job, he's going to damn do it.
He's going to do it,
Yeah.
absolutely. But along those lines, just to give the guys their flowers, Charlie, definitely everything that he put his hands on, Charlie does. He's well. And the biggest thing I respect Charlie for, after every meeting, after every practice, he will find me and make sure he give me a pound and say, I appreciate you. So that means a lot to me. But I have a total of 8 guys in my room as far as running backs. 5 guys are scholarship guys. The other 3 are walk-ons. And all 7 are here on the road trip, which means a lot.
Wow.
Because of what they do as far as running the football, and like you said, special teams. So
Yeah.
a lot of those guys are starting on special teams. And you're talking about 7 running backs on a road trip. That's very impressive. That means that we're doing the right thing as far as being involved in the multiple phases of the game.
That's got to be
I just hope that the listeners out there understand that.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about college football, you know, you got 0 through 99. It's 100 people on the team.
That's right.
You go through the summer, you can have 120 out there.
That's right.
You got about 60 or so that travel.
Yep.
And 7 of them are from the running
over
back room.
10%.
That's right.
Yeah, it's
That
like,
means a
come
lot.
on, man. That's
That
a
means
hell
a
of a
lot.
statement about the talent and work ethic of that room.
Yes.
Well, and I think as a coach, you gotta you wear that as a badge of honor too. That your whole room is here and they're contributing in multiple ways.
Yeah, I think it starts. I have a couple of guys, Tommy Robinson and Cordell, that helps me out in that room. But I think it all starts from recruiting. Just the recruiting department, just getting the right mindset kids, getting the right kids that are going to come in here and do exactly how we coach them to do, and to be able to compete but still have that relationship with each other on and off the football field. No animosity, always pushing each other. So it starts with the recruiting part, and then once we get them into our room, we try to make sure that the culture that Coach Prime has put together that we continue to preach. As long as you have transparency and you build that trust, then you can bring a group of guys with different talents and make it form the way it is right now.
Early on in camp, I asked you a question about Dylan Edwards, and I said, how is he living up to your expectations? And I'll be honest with you, I was kind of expecting you to say he's exceeding them. He's gone above and beyond.
Right.
And you went a different direction.
Yes.
You were you highlighted all of the areas in which you wanted more from Dylan.
That's right.
How did he do from then to now in those areas?
He's different, and it took some growing pains. Sometimes you gotta let a kid, just like a dog, just let him run and you yank him back every now and then with that leash. So I just let him go. He's very explosive. He's a guy that you can't have too many guys in his ear, in his head, because sometimes he's very emotional. That's how he plays the game.
Yep.
And I watch him get emotional. I just see how he's going to handle it, and I pull him in and have a conversation with him. So it was steps by steps. It was a process to get him to see some of the things that really was taken away from his game, as far as like getting into the altercation just verbally with another player after the play. Just when something didn't go right in his eyes, he put his head down and go into not a tank, but his whole demeanor drops, And Dylan's a type, like, once he starts off fast with that energy, I have to keep him there because that energy, once it drop off, it's hard for him to get it back up. So I have to teach him how to manage that, come out with that intensity, but don't let no distraction or any adversity bring you down because he's still young. He's a high school kid, so he's still young. He's still growing.
Coach, you and I have never had this conversation about that, but let me tell you, fellas, what I witnessed at practice one day. Dylan got a bad handoff from number 2 and number 3 quarterback. The fumble was really the quarterback's fault.
Right.
It truly was.
Yeah.
Dylan went off the edge, and I'm watching Coach Lee, and I'm watching Dylan, and just like he just said, he let it go for about 10 seconds, went over and did like the Mr. Miyagi Karate Kid thing, brought him back down. Yeah. And the next 5 plays, Dylan scored. It's like that understanding and chemistry that y'all have.
That's right.
And I had a chat with Dylan about it, and he told me, he said, Neely, I got to be honest with you. I thought I was mature when I got here. But I've learned being around these guys in my room and my position coach, I got some growing to do.
Wow.
And you see it. Yes. I know he's only been the dude was just at the prom.
He
was just at the prom. And now you're going to be playing on national TV, so it's a testament to having a good coach and good investment in him.
No doubt about it. That's where it starts.
He had Mark Ingram talking about him last night on the game.
Yeah,
really?
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
He said, they were talking about the game, and he said, Mark Ingram said, keep an eye out for Dylan Edwards.
Yes.
Wow.
That's pretty
good
awesome.
stuff.
Coach, I want to ask you about Smoke, though. He's obviously an older guy. He's played a lot of football. Has he been able to, help bring along some of these younger guys like Dylan and kind of help them mature on the fly, really?
He has, mostly by his action. He's a very smart player. He can see the game. We're watching film. He's the first one to answer the question when it comes to protection, when it comes to different looks on defense. And I think they look up to him for that. And he's not afraid to sometimes have to pull him back because he's a pit bull. He speaks his mind even at practice. If it might be the O-line, might be the quarterback. He's going to speak his mind, so I have to teach him how to go about his approach. But that's just demeanor, and we need that. We need it in our room. We need it on the team. But he's another guy, with Hank Edwards, Savion Wilkerson, Kavase Smoke. But those 3 guys, those 3 guys are interchangeable as far as running between the tackles. And then you add a Dylan Edwards, who's a dynamite runner as far as explosiveness. to change up the pace, because he's a spot player. He's not an every down back, but we keep him fresh. We keep him for the right moment. But with those three guys, and that's the plan, is seeing like who gets an opportunity to get it going, get their rhythm going, and we'll stay with that guy. So hopefully all three of those guys, Dylan Elk was going to be in there, but I'd love to see how we come up this game with at least 2 or 3 backs that we feel 2 of those guys can carry the load, and then have Dylan as a change-up guy to change the pace and be very explosive. Let him be that guy for 4 quarters.
Let me hop on that, say, Coach. That's you touched on the road I want to go down.
Yep.
One of the things we're going to get from this game, I mean, we are going to win.
Yes,
all right. So
absolutely.
outside of the W, one of the things we're going to get from this game is information.
Yes.
What are you looking to learn about your guys from a real game versus summer practices?
We want to see how they go about it as far as, like I said, win. Sometimes winning is winning. We want to see how we win. Do we win effectively as far as doing the things that we're coached up to do, and dominate? Coach Prime always preaching about dominating. So if we're able to go in and do all the things that Coach Sean Lewis on offense preaches every day as far as controlling the controllables, the penalties, winning the third down battle, red zone. So we want to make sure we go through this game, and then at the end of the game on Sunday, look at all those categories and see where we fit in the nation and engage that and go from there. But, the win is definitely something that we're going to get accomplished. But we want to see how we win. We want to make sure we win in a pretty fashion, and that's what Coach Prime is all about. He want to make sure that all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted. When we go in, and he believe in everything that we practice and everything we preached about in our scouting report. It should show for 4 quarters tomorrow.
I love it, Coach.
Coach, TCU is returning, I think 7 starters from last year's defense. What do you see from them when you watch the film, though?
A team that's very fast. Up front, I think is their forte, the D-line. They're very physical. They're very, they got great size. The linebackers, they flow well to the ball. And they have a defense that can, force you to not be patient. And they want to see if you're going to be patient where they bend and don't break. They have a different setup as far as a 3-3 stack. They have a different look as far as in the secondary, and they'll drop 8. But, they don't believe in constantly bringing a whole lot of pressure. They're a man team, but they want to see how patient you're going to be on that drive. Are you going to take the underneath passes, or are you going to run the football? So if we go out and just try to chuck the ball and throw deep every time, it will fall in their hands. So if we do what we do and take what they give us, then we should have a great success against that defense.
You touched on something, Coach, I absolutely love. And I know TCU, they watching.
Good.
So I ain't going to give them too much information. But one thing I've been impressed with, camp, practice, installs, your running back room got hands also.
Yes.
If they do roll out forward, they can catch, man.
That's right.
They can catch. So you can't just play them one-dimensionally.
That's right. And we did a good job as far as implementing that, as far as getting the guys the opportunity to do those things. Like I said, I think Dylan Edwards has the best hands in the room. He's a guy that can go line up a receiver and come in the backfield, do multiple things. And he's not afraid to step in there for protection. But to your point, we thrive on that. We preach on it every day, man. Make sure you catch the ball so they don't take these plays out for the running back.
I'm laughing because, these people watch the show.
Yeah.
And they comment. So somebody said, oh, man, ain't nobody worried about when Dylan Edwards in, we know it ain't a pass pro. Cause the next week, we put up some clips of Dylan in the weight room. That same guy came back and said, oh, I was wrong.
Pound for pound, he's one of the strongest, man.
He absolutely is one of the strongest guys on the team, man.
Absolutely.
I've seen guys, when we had a full spirited practice, hit him in the backfield and fall off.
That's right. He run through tackles and everything. Yeah.
So they y'all think he's small if you want to. Okay.
Coach, I've been around coaching staffs that maybe didn't always trust each other. And you have a running backs coach who doesn't necessarily believe in the offensive line coach or this, that, or the other thing. It feels like this coaching staff really believes in each other. I'm curious if, one, you agree with that, and two, how that helps you sleep at night and helps you do your job to trust that everyone else is doing theirs.
I think that's the best thing that Coach Prime wants to make sure he fulfill, as far as getting a group of men that can work together. And I'll be honest, offensively, I can speak, it wasn't that way from the beginning. We evolved to the level where now that trust is there. We believe in each other, but it wasn't there. And it's something that's not easy. It's hard to find 10 men that can just get along in any profession. But on offense, we are there right now, like you said. So it took some conversations to talk about some things, and as men, see how you feel about this guy and feel about the room. And, we was able to get through those things, and that tells me a lot about the psyche of the guys in the room, that they're man enough to hear what another man has to say, good or bad, and flip it. Now it puts us in the right direction. I think that helped the offense get to the point where we are right now, that trust, like you were saying.
Love that.
Yeah.
Coach, you didn't mention Alton McCaskill. Just how's he doing, and when can we see him?
Hopefully I had a conversation 1 or 2 days ago, because as a player you can kind of feel what's going on based on reps. And I'm sure he saw the Dylan Edwards, he saw the Hank Hankerson get in more. Savion, once he got cleared of the waivers, we started implementing him more so he can start seeing those things. So I want to make sure I had a conversation prior to this trip, because I knew it was bringing all